So we're back with midwife Cath, and something that's pretty controversial is controlled crying with children, with babies. And Cath, I'm pretty pro it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I think there's probably a right way to do it, and then a way that you're borderline.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's got it has an unfortunate name, controlled and crying. So that doesn't sound good to anyone. It sounds like you're controlling the baby and they're going to cry.
Right.
Which I suppose I like to say passive settling.
Right. Okay.
So it just has got a bad name. But personally, as a maternal and child health nurse too, and I've been a maternal and child health nurse for over 32 years, that I've taught it to many women for those years, for 30 years, and also did it with my own son. And I still help women, but I have very strict guidelines with the babies. First of all, they need to be at least over 6 months.
Right.
Number one. And they need to be at least over 8 kilos. So one or the other.
Right. Okay.
Because anything before that, they need to be fed. They need food. They need extra food. So if you've got a little baby who's crying, you don't try and control cry them to sleep. You need to feed them.
Right.
So if you've got a baby of 7 months who's 8.5 kilos, and who's waking every 2 hours for a breastfeed, and mum's exhausted and dad's exhausted too, that's a perfect way to help a baby with controlled crying. The good thing is it works,
right? But
you have to do it properly,
and you have to be quite tough with it, don't you? Because when I would do it with ours, my partner would be like, ugh, because it's awful to hear. It is awful,
yeah. And as I said, I've done it with my own son, so I know what it's like to stand outside the door and say, sorry, but this is going to work. When they go to sleep, it's one of those things in parenting, you think, oh, actually I feel quite successful. He's gone to sleep, and then he sleeps. The thing with controlled crying, the first time you do it is the worst.
Yeah.
The other thing with controlled crying is that they must go to sleep.
Right.
Okay. The aim of it is that they have to end up going to sleep, because if you do it for a half an hour and then you go in, pick them up and feed them, it just doesn't work. So people will say to me, I've done controlled crying 10 times and it hasn't worked. You have to do it properly.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what do you think is doing it properly?
Doing it properly is that I would do put the baby into the bed nice and safe, and it's over 6 months, over 8 kilos. So by that stage it would be out of a wrap and in a sleeping bag. Put the baby in the cot with nothing else in the cot. Kiss the baby goodbye after a nice feed, and then walk out the door. The baby will cry in response, and then you wait for 2 minutes. And after the 2 minutes, you go back in and you just reassure the baby, and you say, it's okay, baby.
So not picking the baby up?
You can pick the baby up. It just makes the process longer.
Right.
So you go, baby Lachlan, you're okay. Mummy's here, good boy. You're going to go to sleep. I'm going to come back. You're okay. And by this stage, they sort of settle down a bit. So that's sort of 15, 20 seconds, and then you're out the door.
Right.
Then when you go out the door, the crying escalates. And so you let him cry for 4 minutes.
Right.
Then you go back in and do the same process. In the same tone, touching the baby, but you don't need to stay there, because if women stay there for a long time, the baby gets stressed and anxious, and you're confusing him. Why aren't you picking him up?
Right.
So it needs to go in, you need to go in, reassure, I love you, I'm here, I'm going to come back, and out the door.
Okay.
So you do 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 6 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Right.
Now, if a baby rarely cries for 15 minutes, you just keep going in every 15 minutes.
So then when you get up to the 15-minute point, you don't go back to the 2 minutes.
No, exactly, just do every 15 minutes. Again. Now, what I've found in my experience is there's 2 definite things that happen. Usually about the 6-minute period, between the 6 and 8 minute period, the baby has even if it's a 2-second stop, they stop crying, and then they start again, you've won it. You're nearly there. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And then they tend to escalate again, and then all of a sudden they just stop.
Right.
And then you look at each other and you think,
We've
What's
bloody
wrong?
done it!
I don't know what's wrong with them. But these days with monitors, it's really good because you can actually see that the baby's gone to sleep.
Yeah,
the
right.
first time is the hardest. It may take a half an hour. It may take an hour. It may take 20 minutes. But you've got to get the baby to go to sleep.
And use that for all sleeps, for during the day and
Well,
for at
I
night?
start at the nighttime sleep, so after the bath and the nighttime sleep, so it'd be 7 o'clock or around that time. Now, if the baby re-wakes at midnight, for example, I would let the baby cry first for 2 minutes and then go in.
Right.
And then you let the baby cry for 4 minutes, and usually that's all they need to settle back down.
At night
If the baby wakes again at like 2 o'clock in the morning, I would go in, wait for 2 minutes, and then go in. Really, they get the message very quickly.
And in terms of feeding during the night, when do babies stop needing to be fed during the night and just maybe control crying to get back to sleep instead of feeding?
Well, I tend to do a dream feed, which is giving a bottle of formula at 10 o'clock when the baby's actually asleep.
Yeah.
To about, maybe 9-10 months. And it's, again, every baby's different. Some babies may want it for 12 months, some babies stop at 6 months, so everyone's different. And then some babies usually, it's all to do with their weight gain.
Right.
So if they're usually over 8 or 9 kilos, they don't need to be fed.
Right.
Because they've got the capacity to sleep through.
So you can do the controlled crying.
You actually can do the controlled crying. So they know the few things. They need to be well. You don't ever do this on a sick baby, ever. If they're teething, it's often good to give them a dose of Panadol before you start the process.
I'm drugging my kids. Sometimes I'm like, you're crying too much. Nurofen, that's bad, but it's true, let's be honest.
But so the Panadol, what it does is it helps the parents because you think at least he's not in pain.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've taken the pain away. And babies do wake up because of teething. So if it's that issue, the other thing is that you need to do it in your own home.
Yeah.
You also need to do it when you come back from a holiday, not before you go away on a holiday.
Right.
Because a holiday changes the routine and the babies may come back and need it to be done again.
Right.
So the first time is the hardest, but you will do it quite frequently during your time with the baby. So if they get sick, down the track with a gastro or something like that, and you're up to them frequently, which you do as a parent, then they get out of their routine. So you have to, when they're well again, you go back and do controlled crying.
Right.
But it's very quick because they've already got the message.
Does it work for, because some people will go, oh, it doesn't work. Is it usually the parent who kind of can't handle the controlled crying more so than the baby?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And there's nothing cruel, because it is quite a controversial topic. Some people are like, that's the cruelest thing to do.
Yeah. There's a study that's gone for 25 years saying that it is okay.
Yeah.
There's my son's 21 and quite okay. Well, very good. He's fabulous. And I still teach it and I still keep in contact with a lot of mums who do it, and they all comment that the baby has changed since they've done controlled crying. They are easier to settle when they wake up. They're easier to settle if they've been sick and then they've gone out of the routine, if they've been away. But it also gives you a skill as a parent that you know how to do it. And really, that's why a lot of people end up in sleep schools. It's sort of gone out of control.
Right.
So we can do a lot of this in our own home by being taught properly and be given the confidence yourself to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.